Hello, folks, and welcome to the Hen House. I'm Lay Rooster, here to give you some Marvel Strike Force basic orientation and basic training, getting you ready for that. Maybe your friend has told you need to play some Marvel Strike Force with them and you're thinking about checking it out. Maybe you watched WandaVision or The Falcon and Winter Soldier and you started finding out that there's Marvel games on your phone that you can play. Either way, you're going to want to understand how to navigate the game and be successful. We're going to go through some of the basic things that help you understand the game that the game really doesn't show you, that allows you to build the characters that you want to be successful and to work on having a great roster and a fun time. Um, but first, before we get into that, go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you like this kind of content. Go ahead and hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when I have other videos coming, which we do have more in the Marvel Strike Force series as well as on some other games. And you can catch me streaming Pacific time after work, usually on Twitch TV. So that's twitch.tv/lay_rooster. Welcome to the Hen House, and let's get rolling with some Marvel Strike Force basic training. All right, when you first log in, I've got a more maxed out level account, but we can look at these things and kind of explain the layout for you. Because when you start to look at it from left to right, you start seeing a lot of different boxes, a lot of different names, and it can be a little overwhelming when you're first in here. The game has a tutorial, like most games do, and they try to instruct you in some of what to do. But I know that if you haven't played a hero collector before, then it can be a little more confusing. This was my first hero collector, and it was a lot of things that I had to learn and figure out the hard way. So I want to help you not to make some mistakes and feel more confident as you move along in the game. So before we start checking out some of these basic boxes and seeing some of that, we're going to look at characters. So to make this sort of easy, I've picked the character Spider Man, who you get in the very beginning, and so you'll all have, and many of us all love. Um, so there are different things about the character in the character screen that I want to point out. Um, One is that, of course, you see the character right here where you can make him twirl, and he doesn't spin like he does in the Star Wars game, but he can twirl a little. So I know that's important for some people. Also, you see the 6+ signs, three on the left, three on the right. These are the gear slots. So you'll be equipping gear for Spider-Man and all your characters in order to make them grow in power. You'll have to have the right equipment in order to get the right gear, and that can be something that you have to farm and look for. Um, Here on the left, you'll see the different abilities, starting with like agile attack at the very top. This is the basic attack, one of those attacks that's easiest to do and can be done most often. The next, web slinger, is the special attack. When you click on it, it tells you a little bit more about it, and tells you some of the things. Again, you have to build up energy in a fight in order to be able to do that. The ultimate attack is the third attack, and that tends to be a very well, it's an ultimate and rather powerful ability. If it's not a very powerful ability, then the character's probably not that good. And then the fourth attack is the passive ability. So something that you don't have to trigger, but is an innate quality of the character that helps. It often interacts with these other abilities that go off or interacts with other people on a team. I mentioned Marvel Strike Force is a hero collector. So that's a game where you end up collecting various heroes or characters, or cards, and put together teams of your choosing. Some of them are predetermined teams that you'll want to keep together. They usually work together better when they're made to be as a team. But there are ways when you start getting into more advanced theory crafting to be able to place Spider-Man with someone else that you really like, that you think their powers might synergize and work well together. So there are a lot of things as you get further in the game, and that comes into play. So you're going to be collecting them. You don't just want to have your favorite characters in a hero collector. You really want to get all the good characters. There are some that maybe aren't as good and that you're not going to want to focus on, but it takes a while to figure some of that out unless you're watching content creation like these videos and others on the web and in Twitch and in YouTube. Um, so you'll be able to do that. You don't have to collect them all, but if you're like me, I've got a little bit of the Pokemon syndrome, so I do want to collect them all and catch them all. And then it's whether or not you want to invest in them all, and that's where having some awareness of what is involved and what resources you have matters. So we have those abilities. We have gear. Notice that I have the ability here to equip all, and it takes some of my gold. Just because you can press a button or a green plus sign again will let me press it. Don't press the button when you don't know that you want to spend it, because it'll allow you to spend more gold than you want, and take those resources that are precious away. If we just look at one of these abilities, one of these plus signs for gear right here, you'll see that it's making this, in this case, an improved web shooter, but it takes these component parts on that are down below and connected. And you may or may not have them, and you have to have the little component parts as well as the gold to fuse it to make this piece. Once you hit that craft button, which I'm not going to do right now, it'll then put the gear in there and show that for you. So if we look at another character that I have, well, one of these characters has some gear on them right away and is not ready to go, but I'll show you one of those later. So you'd be able to place it, and it'll show up a picture that we saw. This picture in itself will show up there. So down here you see the level of the character. This particular character is level 55. The game currently goes up to a level cap of 80. You as a player will level up eventually to level 80, and your characters can't get any higher than you are. So if you're at level 50, the highest you can level up your characters is 50. And as it goes up, you can spend more resources to level them. Down here is the train button, and it has a little red dot indicating you can do something about it. So training is where you can spend these things, which are shield training modules of different values, following sort of MMO principles of green, blue, purple, and gold with their values. You can spend them. These are like the cartridges in the Matrix that Neo plugged into the back of his head so he could say, "I know Kung Fu." You need these coupled with gold in order to level up a character. And the gold and the training materials go quickly, so you don't want to spend them on someone that is not going to help you out now or is going to be not helpful later. So you don't want to just click. Also over here, down here we see Spider-Man's star levels. So you'll notice that there are very bright and shiny stars here, particularly the red ones, but there are 7 yellow stars. First, you start with unlocking and leveling up the star level of a character. Some of them open as low as 1, but they all go up to 7 yellow stars. And that's when if you have a fully maxed character shard count that builds up the power of the character and their abilities. The red stars are like another enhancement that you get, and so they cover up, as you can see, they're covering up the gold stars. That enhancement allows them to buff some of their basic stats and things that make them better, like here where we see the stats like the health and the damage and the armor, etc. So those red stars play a role in making the character stronger and better. And they can only cover stars that you have filled out in yellow. So you'll have to get and acquire those shards for the character before that happens. All right. Here is the ISO 8 section, which is a new thing that has come out in the last 6 months or so that allows us to further specialize the character with a different one of 5 roles that we can or classes that you can do that have special abilities. And then you place certain ISO gear in the 5 corresponding slots that give some more stat boosts. And together, when they're all leveled up, like this one is only level 1, allows me to level the class up to 1. There will be a lot more information about that later, so don't worry about that at the moment. A lot of things when you first start playing are going to be level locked, meaning you're going to have to level up some before it opens and gives you kind of an introductory, celebratory message that tells you can play in that mode of the game. As we start to go back to the main screen, this will help. Over here is where they give a featured character, which is just a place for them to show you a character that you have or don't have, so you'll be reminded, particularly if you don't have the character, to see how cool they are and maybe be enticed to either buy them or to work to get them. That part is important, and it gives you a chance to look at them as well. But we use Spider-Man for that purpose. Now, there's some different pieces here. One of the things I wanted to point out, when you're first beginning, you're going to be unlocking characters, and a piece is the daily objectives button down here. When we click this, I've already done some of my dailies for today, but if you're not sure what to do, you want to complete all of your dailies, at least all of the mandatory ones. The optional ones, again, are going to be optional. But if you complete all of your daily activities, which can take some time throughout the day, then you're going to get some completion rewards and get a lot of resources that are going to help you build up. So you can see I have some for spending ISO 8 energy. I have some for doing arena battles, which is another mode. I get the all clear. I get some rewards when I finish them. And then there's some bonus ones at the bottom. There are several more, but I did them earlier in the day. We won't worry about this strike pass, which is something else that probably gets its own video until later. Okay, so looking at some of these modes, one of the things you'll have the arena mode, which you can see you get to have a team and you'll set a defense. This is something where throughout the course of the day you're able to battle other people's teams that they set for PvP. For bragging rights to see how you stack up. You'll try to rank out and get rewards at the end of the day. You'll set your own team on defense so that other people can fight against it, and you'll see if you can beat theirs. You won't be seeing this because it'll be happening in the background, but when you initiate those attacks, they'll go on. And this is a way to get rewarded with cores, which are an important currency in the game. So that is important. But you have to have good characters, and you'll have to put together a good team for that. Now, one of the other pieces is to look at the events section right here. You can see they were showing us, what they don't show is a picture of Phoenix because there's a Phoenix unlock event going on right now. And they tell you about these about a week in advance. So you want to have an idea of who's coming out so that you can know who to work on. But usually you're going to need more than a week to work on someone unless you're already prepared. So watching videos like this and others will help you with that. In the event, you'll see some things like this is a retired legendary for Nick Fury. So it will tell you about how you can unlock Nick Fury and what you can do. You can see I've completed a lot of these segments, but it'll give you an idea. And when you click on the little people buttons, it'll show you the characters that you need and to have at what level in order to be able to do that. If we look at the area that I haven't completed, tier 7, you'll see that some of them are grayed out, like this Kree Reaper, meaning I don't have her high enough in order to help unlock this character at that level. So that's a particular area for what's called legendary characters, who are the extra super powered ones that are usually very well known and typically very powerful on a particular team. You will want them for sure. Then there are other events like this. We have an X Factor investigation thing that is allowing us to do special events and quests to get multiple man. This comes out periodically when they release a character, so that'll be something you want to make sure you're doing the things that factor into events because they give you additional rewards or reward you with gear or characters. And we have a Falcon and Winter Soldier event that gives us some stuff to do as well. And again, to get more stuff. And then also the ones that are in preview mode give you an idea of events that are coming up soon, and so that you can prepare. This one is going to be our first battle with some support characters. It tells you about what you need to do. If you press that I button, if you go into a preview, it'll show you some things as well. So that gives you a heads up. And we can see that we have just under 24 hours before that goes live. All right. If you go into your milestones section, this is again important. You're doing your events, but every day and throughout the week, you're going to have certain milestones that you can do. Like for the high roller is a good example. The goal is to spend gold, like it says up here. So every 24 hours, you have a chance to spend gold, and you will be rewarded with some of these orbs, which are blue gear, which is part of that gearing up the character. Some different gear credits, which help you with purple gear for gearing up a character. And these are cores, power cores, which can be used in a multitude of ways to do more than you would normally or to speed up your progress. They're really good, and people pay money for them. So as you can see, as you go down in these milestones, by spending gold, you will unlock more and more tasks through that. You want to make sure that you're trying to do things that actually help advance you on milestones, because those are rewards that you can be getting and will help you. Hitting the scoring button will give you some information about what you need to do in order to achieve the milestones. This one's simple: spend some gold. But you'll be running out of gold, so you'll want to figure out how to manage that. The other is the Save the World. It's a spend campaign energy. And so, again, you're getting more gear and different things by spending campaign energy. We'll be in the campaigns in a minute. The World Warrior one is something that lasts over the course of a week, and you and your alliance work on by fighting in various modes. So you want to be active in the game and fighting, and then you'll unlock more events. Then they show you ones that have ended and sometimes ones that have come. This is a special event, and these are more complicated because they have interesting stuff in them, like gear and energy in this case, but they also have a complex scoring setup. So you may need to look at that to figure it out. It's talking about blitz wins with certain characters, war wins, and then losing a raid battle or winning a battle, and different points that it gives you. So you may need to check those things in order to understand what you can do that works for you. They're talking about different modes that we're going through. So as we start to look at those modes, we talked about the arena mode. We also have the challenges mode, which is something that comes up every day and goes through a weekly cycle. You can see like the orb fragments section does every Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So when you look at those rewards, it gives you different tiers, and you can see where you are and what you can do for them. It gives you some information about how strong or how weak you can be and get through there. So if we look at the very beginning tier, you can have characters at level 18, but you can only use the blaster type of character, which is a specific type. So you'll collect some blasters and have them leveled up, and then you can start working on that. You'll be able to repeat this throughout the week and each week in order to get more gear. It goes the same for all of these, which give you important stuff like this one. Gold Rush gives you gold for your characters. The medical supply is going to give you some refreshes and health refreshes for some of the modes, as well as some Red Star related information. The training day gives you those training modules that you need to level up in addition to gold. Abilities use these other crystals that help you to level up those abilities that we talked about, and orbs that you can open of different kinds, and catalysts, which are related to gear. So all important stuff to not be avoiding, but you work through it over time as we move along. This is usually just an informational thing about what's a current event that's going on. You'll get a free orb here. It's a basic orb. They're not great, but they are free and they do have some value. So when you open them over time, you eventually get stuff that you may want and that can help you, especially when you're new. Down here, it just tells you to get heroes, and it takes you to some orb sections. There's a lot of orbs here as we scroll. One of the things to keep in mind is know what the orbs are and why you might buy them, because you can spend your cores for them, and you don't always want to do that. So go in knowingly or research a little bit. Watch a video. Here is the campaign. You'll be introduced to this in the very beginning. The campaign, as you can see, it scrolls a bit because there are several campaigns. This one's related to Multiple Man, and this is the Falcon and Winter Soldier thing. But when you start, it will be the Heroes Assemble, which is the Heroes campaign. And it's a hero collector game. So what you need are hero characters as opposed to like villains who will come up next. And you get them together and you work on the different missions in the node. And when you unlock them, and beat them, you get rewards. When you beat them without losing any characters, you get 3 stars, and then you can automatically win them later to get some of the gear or character shards that they have. So you'll be building up those heroes for a good hero team to help you, and then you'll be unlocking the villain campaign, where you need, surprisingly, villains in order to move on in the game. So you'll get a team of villains and be working on them to do the same thing and move through. I see there's a node I have to go back and finish because I'm a kind of a completionist, so I'll take care of that later. But as you can see, there's heroes and then villains. And part of your daily task will be to do 3 missions in the heroes campaign, do 3 missions in the villains campaign. So it makes sense, one, to do them, but also to do the ones that seem to help you with the goals that you have, because there'll be characters that you're working on. Then there's a Nexus and a Cosmic Conflict and a Mystic Forces and a Doom War. These things start happening later on as you progress through the campaigns. You start unlocking different ones, and they have different requirements for completion. Such as when we get to the Mystic Forces, you need mystic characters, not cosmic characters. Guess what the Cosmic one wants? Cosmic characters. And then the Doom one just wants to make it difficult for you. At the end, we have that isotope thing, which uses different energy and different events that allow you to farm some of the isotopes, ISO 8 upgrades and gear, which is kind of a separate economy. Um, don't get confused, because as you start, it'll be clear because it'll be the heroes and then quickly the villains, and it'll slowly add as you progress, so it won't be as overwhelming as you see here where everything's unlocked. Here is the Blitz mode, and Blitz, kind of like Arena was in the beginning, where you're going to fight against other people's 5-person teams. You're going to have a set of multiple teams that you have, perhaps your entire roster or a large portion of it, and you're going to take them against some random teams there in order to fight. As you do that, you can do what's called a Blitz rotation, which will be attacking different, using all of your roster to attack different teams, climbing up a ladder of success, getting rewards. And this is a way that we often can get character shards. Like right now, we've just unlocked Hela, who's a great character. And so one that you're going to want to be blitzing, you can blitz with one team every 2 hours, and then it resets and allows you to do it again. So if you're using multiple teams, you can do multiple blitzes and climb that ladder. So these can be a big deal, and they can be rather competitive. But you're going to want to get in there, because when you do it in the rewards, they'll have milestones for the blitz itself, and you'll see that you get some different pieces of reward types, orb categories, blitz credits, gold, raid health, but also you'll start getting a character shard periodically, or 2 character shards. So that's part of how you will get to unlocking some of these characters that you want and build out your roster further. All right, so that's your blitz piece. Down here's your alliance. Once you get high enough, you'll be able to join an alliance, and there's probably a lot of videos that will have about alliance choice and what to do. But you'll end up in an alliance where a team of 24 people working on the war, working on raids together. So important modes that really help you develop. Plus, it gives you people to chat with in the chat mode, and to kind of journey together as you build up, or ask for advice. So it makes it not a lonely thing. So I encourage you to be in a good alliance when you get a chance. Here's an war that's going on, and that's something that happens throughout the week. So the alliance gets together and fights a war against another alliance. You unlock that later on in the game. The alliance raids similarly come later when you're in the alliance, and you'll have some Ultimus raids, which allow us to fight the big bad of the game, Ultimus, at different levels. We're in Ultimus 7, but it starts at Ultimus 1, so even newer alliances can work on the lower ones, and you get a lot of materials there for your leveling up your abilities, the abilities of your characters, and going forward. And then there are these like beta raids. They're Greek lettered raids that give you character shards and allow you to do more. So raiding daily is also important and is part of your daily activities as you get leveled up, and you'll want to be doing that as well, because that will build up those characters that you have. So, yeah, sorry, the phone is ringing. And then Dark Dimension is your in-game content with special tasks, Dark Dimensions 1, 2, 3, and now we currently have Dark Dimension 4. So you end up building up to go through these. These are big slog of battles that can take weeks to get through and reward you very heavily for completing. But they're goals that you have near later on in the game, and you focus on. You won't have to worry about those initially. Real-time Arena is another mode, and one of our final modes in the game, that you use, where you go in and battle people with a team that you set up to battle a team that somebody else is actively running. So whereas in Blitz and Arena, those teams are simply set and you get matched up against the computer, you're playing against another person. And then there are a bunch of rewards and objectives that tell you what you're trying to do. Usually beat people, knock out, use certain types of characters. So you're going to want to have a roster that's wide and allows you to do that. And then you'll get additional rewards. And there's a pass for that we'll talk more about. Also, you'll have your energy. This tells you what your gold is. This tells you how many cores you have. Here is your regular campaign energy for running those different hero and villain campaigns. And this is your ISO campaign energy that'll build up. They build up over time, but also in your daily objectives, you will get, like here, campaign energy that becomes available. If you're logging on a few times a day, you'll be able to get this, and I can collect all this energy, which will be reflected up here and help me go further. So one of your big goals is to explore those daily activities and go from there and work on building up your character at that point. Just make sure you do your dailies and learn to do the different modes as you build and unlock characters. We'll have more things to go, but you want to make sure that you check and subscribe to this channel for the next videos about beginner orientation and basic training for Marvel Strike Force, as well as some of my other games that I put material out for. And then follow me on twitch.tv/lay_rooster. I hope to see you soon, and thanks for watching and being a part of the Hen House. Cock-a-doodle-doo.